Hi everyone, it's Sarah from TrailCooking.com, and today we're going to do something that I want to do for a while using dried morel mushrooms, and we're going to make a brown and white rice with lentils and tomato pilaf. So the first thing we're going to do is, since we're going to help the morels get cooking a little bit faster, start heating this up. Now you got to be really careful with this, obviously, because it's a little bit tippy. Add in a little bit of the water, and on that, and drain off the rest of that. Now I've been soaking these for a while, about 15 minutes. These are dried morels, and you can get them commercially from Fungus Among Us, or you can also dry your own if you're really good at picking them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these to a boil, and then I'm going to pull them off and let them steep for a couple minutes. That way they fully rehydrate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pan fry them up to give them an extra taste. And then right after that, we're going to make the pilaf. And so we'll just go over the pilaf for a couple seconds. As I mentioned, it's a combination of white and brown rice with pre-cooked lentils and tomatoes. I've got some seasonings in there. We're going to add in a packet of lower sodium vegetable stock. You could use, beef or chicken if you want. And this, of course, the oil is for that. And then we'll add some cheese in at the end. This would be a, pretty easy meal for one. A little bit more gourmet. Don't have to be too fearful of this. The water is going to keep you from burning yourself. That away from the stove. And in this recipe, I am using my MSR Wind Pro. One of the reasons why I'm doing that, as you can see, there's snow. It is March 8th today, and it decided to snow last night, and it was also dumping this morning. So, by the amount of birds out here, you would think it was spring, though. Now, the broth we're using in this it's going to come out of the mushrooms and actually be fragrant enough that you could use it in a soup if you wanted to. Okay, so we just got a boil here. Turn down the stove for a second. We'll park these over here to rest. Now I'm going to add in 1 1/4 cups water. Stove back up. This is only going to take a few seconds to come to a boil, not too long. We'll grab a cozy. And what we're going to do is add in the broth stick. Try not to make a mess like I did. It's a good thing my cozies are machine washable. Oh well. This needs is getting used, that's all. It'll be just a little bit longer till it comes to a boil, and we'll be right back. Well, the water has just come to a boil. We'll turn off the stove, let it sit for a couple seconds. And you just want to add it in slowly to the bag. Open that up wide. Set that there. Grab a spoon. Give it a quick stir. And this is a GSI Rehydrate spoon. That's what I put in there. And seal up the cozy. Just to cozy off, and if you want to, you can just set it back in the pot and keep it warm that way. And just going to set it over here out of the way, and we'll give it about 15 minutes to sit. Because it's got brown rice in it, it needs a little bit longer time. And then what we're going to do is go over and drain the mushrooms, and we'll start sizzling those up. Well, I let the morels sit and soak in their warm water for, about another 15 minutes. And as you can see, they've rehydrated up beautifully. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the stove to low. Just a little bit of heat. First, we'll get them to start drying them out just a little bit. And then we're going to add in some oil. And the broth that comes off of these mushrooms is really, really good. I mean, it actually, if you had the time, would be the best thing to use in the pilaf, because it's got so much flavor. Sometimes if you're with the right person who knows what they're talking about, you can actually find wild morels. And I've had a few hiking partners who were well versed in it, that if your partners don't know what they're doing, don't eat wild mushrooms. At that point, it's much better to spend the money for something that's commercially dried. Okay, most of the water is now gone, so I'm going to drizzle in a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And the sizzling you hear is with the water. It smells really, really good. Now, you could just do this in a regular cook pot as well. You don't need a fry pan. It's just being shallow makes it a little bit easier to stir. And if you're worried about burning your oil, let's say you don't have a very adjustable stove, you can always use canola oil or just regular cooking oil too. You just want to heat these through so they're nice and sizzling. You can tell I'm picking them up off the burner periodically just to give it a good shake. This is the fry pan I'm using at the top of the GSI backpacker set. It's a non-stick pan. It's real easy to use. And when I get done, I can clean this out just by wiping it out with a paper towel. I don't have to bring any scrub pads. Now, if you wanted to, and you wanted to be even more, I don't know, I guess gourmet, you could also dice these up. And that's probably what I would do, too, before eating them myself, serving it up. Once they're cooked, I'll cut them up. These would be a really good base if you were making stroganoff on the trail, too. Well, as soon as these are done cooking, I'm going to plate it up with the pilaf, and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I got the rice pilaf done, and I cut up the little morels. I actually used one of my favorite little knives, and it's a little tiny one. You got to be careful if it is sharp. You can pick those up sometimes at sporting goods stores, at hardwood stores. And so what I've done is it looks like that. And that's definitely quite the filling meal. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some Parmesan cheese. And I'm using shelf-stable, of course, in the packets. It's about a teaspoon per packet. And you can dust it to your heart's content. 2 or 3 packets is usually good. So as always, I will have the recipe up on our blog at TrailCooking.com or blog.trailcooking.com. You visit either one, and we'll have up also links to the products used. And until then, we hope to see you next time.